Well, this afternoon's third round of the Yamaha Pro-Am Series will be over 10 laps of the 1.9-mile Donington circuit, with speeds reaching the 115-mile-an-hour mark. Your commentators are Barry Sheen, who rides later, of course, in the World of Sport Superbike Challenge, and the man we hear from now, Chris Carter.
Another round of the Witchbike Wrangler Pro-Am, one of the most exciting championships in the sport. 20 top young riders on identical 350 RDLC Yamahas. And to make it even fairer, all competitors have to select their bikes by pulling their keys out of the hat. And to supervise this thing, we see veteran rider Charlie Williams and Bruce Cox, in fact, the organiser of the series, Ray Swan, the reigning champion in this championship, pulling his key out. Kevin Mitchell there, waiting to get his, and there is Ken Irons. So all the riders then have no knowledge whatsoever of what bike they're going to get in advance. And Barry Sheen, this system of pulling the keys out of the hat must be a good thing to make sure nobody has a quicker bike than the rest, or at least if they do, it's by luck, not judgment.
Oh yeah, it's a really good idea. The only bad thing about it is if you get the bad luck of the draw at the end of the season when the bike's been crashed about 20 times. But it is a good idea because, as you say, all the bikes should be the same.
Well, luck of the draw, and the luck of the draw means that the competitors get equal bikes. This, in fact, is the warm-up lap for the riders running around the circuit on their machines just to warm up the tyres. Halfway round on this warm-up lap, and it really is as crucial in this sort of competition as in anything else, because these bikes are, as I say, absolutely identical, and to get the tyres to the right working temperature, warming the tyres, not warming the bike, that's the object of the exercise. They'll be coming round to the start line in a few moments, lining up in the order of the championship, and that means, of course, we shall see Graham Cannell from the Isle of Man, who lives almost within sight of the famous Ballaugh Bridge on the Isle of Man TT circuit. Next to him will be Andy Watts from Kings Lynn in Norfolk. Paul Tinker, well, he's from Waltham, near Grimsby in Lincolnshire. And then the young Scotsman Neil Mackenzie from Stirling in Scotland. So here we go, in picture now, number 4, Neil Mackenzie. Quick wave to the camera. Hello, Mum. We know all about that. Paul Tinker next to him. He's riding bike number 3. Paul, who last year won the 250 and 350 ACU Star Championships. A man with a tremendous amount of talent. So Graham Cannell then on the far side of the grid. Andy Watts next to him, a man who works in a bank in Kings Lynn when he's not racing motorcycles. See, there's a gap there on the grid there. In fact, it's not. It's Graham Cannell on the far side, Andy Watts next to him, then Paul Tinker, then Neil Mackenzie, then Steve Chambers. Well, you're a bit of a fan of Steve Chambers, aren't you, Barry?
Yeah, I certainly am. This is the bit that scares me, is the first corner after the start.
Well, they're all looking forward. It's a clutch start. They'll have a 10-second warning, and away they go. And as ever, it was a fairly hectic start. They're bobbing and weaving before they go into the first corner, and it's Neil Mackenzie, number 4, who's got quite a good advantage in this thing. If you've got more than 3 machines length, that's a good lead, isn't it?
It sure is. Actually, it's nowhere near as closely packed at the first corner as it usually is, which is a good thing, really.
Yes, indeed. Perhaps people are learning a little bit and deciding that they can get themselves sorted out on the first lap, and as you see, they're getting themselves sorted out in the most hectic fashion, absolutely nose to tail. And as Barry says, this may not be as quite so cramped and packed as they normally are, but it's a fairly hectic business. But it's still number 4, Neil Mackenzie, who heads this screaming pack of 20 RDLC Yamahas, water-cooled 2-stroke road bikes. Still Mackenzie in the lead. Actually,
Mackenzie's got a bigger lead now than I've ever seen anybody have after about 10 laps, let alone on the first.
And somebody, I think, so wide on the well. A lucky escape there. Definitely turned into a grass track racer overnight. Still Mackenzie in the lead.
Now, this is another good bit coming up. At the end of this long straight is chicane. And everybody wants to outbrake one another. So if you watch with interest as they come up to this next right-hand corner, it's usually quite exciting.
And he looks like Neil Robinson. That's the younger brother of Donny Robinson, the Grand Prix rider, number 6. And good grief, there are 1 or 2 little...
Oh, see what I mean?
Oh, and somebody goes straight on. Well, that was fairly desperate stuff, and Ivan Gray, I'm sure that is, getting back into the action. And it was Ivan Gray from Dudley deciding that it was safer to go around the slip road than to take the chicane, and that's put him right at the back of this pack. This is a 10-lap race. We're on the second lap now, and somebody else drops a cod and gets a bit of a fist waving. That was Andy Watts who made a bit of a, shall we say, a mistake.
Yeah, I saw somebody waving at somebody. I wasn't sure whether they were saluting or doing something else.
So here they come, and it's still Neil Mackenzie, and that looks like Paul Tinker. It is. It's Paul Tinker, number 3, looking for a way past Neil Mackenzie.
Oh, dear me.
Oh, that really is getting very naughty. Mr. Mackenzie doesn't want to be overtaken, I don't think, Barry.
No, I think what they ought to do when we do the commentary on this is give us a Valium before we do it, I mean.
And in Paul Tinker being eased out, and whether they're going to go down in a box.
Eased
no, they
out?
don't. Good grief, Graham Cannell, number 1. And Paul Tinker drops back to 4th place, and he could easily end up 6th at the moment. It's still Neil Mackenzie in the lead, but that's Graham Cannell, number 1, who's dived through in desperate fashion to go up into 2nd place. Andy Watts there with the black leathers with the yellow and gold markings, and Neil Mackenzie had the look over his shoulder. They're weaving down the back straight so as not to let anyone have any slipstream effect, and it didn't do any good at all, because into the lead goes Graham Cannell. Cannell in the lead. He's now Andy Watts, number 2, in 2nd place. And Neil Mackenzie, the man who led early on. Oh, and there's another bashing of bikes as lower down the field there. It's Graham Cannell, though, the new race leader, and Neil Mackenzie's is 3 bikes side by side, and Neil Mackenzie charges through to 2nd place. Andy Watts has to ease off, and number 21, that's Ray Swan, the championship winner from last year, and the man who so far hasn't scored a single point in this year's competition. Well, Ray Swan from Dunstable in Bedfordshire, keen to put that right, but this is the race leader, Graham Cannell.
Actually, the guy that rides the smoothest at the beginning of the race has got the best chance of doing good at the end, because the tyres, after about 6 or 7 laps starts, it can really get hot, and you'll notice in a couple of laps' time the bike will start weaving all over the show.
You mean weaving more than it does already?
Well, yeah, really. But a guy that's ridden the bike steady, his tyres are going to be in better shape towards the end of the race, and only paid the last lap anyway.
So, Ray Swan takes the lead. Ray Swan, in absolutely splendid style, goes to the front. Number 21, that's Ray Swan, the last year's championship winner, takes the lead from number 1, Graham Cannell from the Isle of Man.
Whoa, big slide there.
Well, that was a desperate moment back there. Really hairy stuff this is, but tremendous racing. Ray Swan, number 21, the leader. Number 1, Graham Cannell. Will Cannell go through on the inside? He looks as if he's got the better line, but Swan sweeps across. Andy Watts, number 2, is in 3rd place.
Oh, boy. Oh, God, I hate this.
Well, Ivan Gray there decided he didn't want to take the corner, but in going, aiming for the slip road, nearly brought himself up and about 3 others.
That's the 2nd time he's done that.
Yeah, he doesn't like the chicane, does he? Ivan Gray definitely doesn't like the chicane. Action at the front, though, and up into 3rd place now goes Andy Watts. It's absolutely amazing how they can try to change lines going right across the front wheel of other people. In picture, it's number 2, Andy Watts. He's in 3rd place. Number 4, Neil Mackenzie, 1-time leaders, back in 4th place. And this 18, Kenneth Irons from Luton. He's moving up through the field, but out in front, it's Ray Swan. Here we got number 21. Behind him, number 1, Graham Cannell. And Ray Swan really is beginning to put on the pressure. This is a colossal lead by Pro-Am standards. Number 4, that's Neil Mackenzie. Number 2 was Andy Watts. Number 12 there, towards the tail end of the field, that's Kevin Mitchell. But it really is a desperate battle for the lower leaderboard places. There's points and money at stake here. And for these lads, all of them under 24 years of age, the money is as important as points, I think.
The way some of them ride, it's no good to him in a hospital bed, though, is it?
Absolutely amazing. And Paul Tinker in the middle of there, and that's the last place I'd want to be. Oh, dear.
Oh, I don't believe it.
And that was Andy Watts, who found himself in the gutter there. He didn't want to be, but out in front still. It's number 21, Ray Swan. Behind him, it's number 1, Graham Cannell, and Graham Cannell has dived through into the lead. No, he's not, because Swanee goes across, closes the door, and leaves no room at all on the faster line. That's your line round Redgate, isn't it, Barry? Round a bit wider going in.
Well, a little bit wider going in, because it gives you a bit more room to run out of road on the way out. But that guy, the guy that was leading, was using the berm on the outside of the track as well.
And that is Paul Tinker, number 3, the man who has managed to pull his way clear of that desperate little dice behind. 6 laps to go in this race, 4 laps gone. And as we've said so many times, these are absolutely identical motorcycles, road-going 350s, and really, as we've seen throughout these races...
It's getting to hot tyre time now. You can see the bike starting to wriggle around a bit more.
Well, we shall see whether Barry's right, whether the people who take it a little bit cool, a little bit more carefully early on, the smoother riders, not heating the tyres up, not putting too much pressure on, whether they'll get some advantage. And a fastest lap at the moment, around 1 minute 20 seconds. 1 minute 27, that's not too bad a time on a production bike.
No, it's a very good time in actual fact on a road bike.
And Ken Irons has now caught up Ray Swan. Ray Swan in the lead.
Actually, I've never seen...
Sixth lap now. I've
never seen a Pro-Am race where the leaders have dropped the second pack so much. No, usually the whole lot are within sort of 2 seconds covers the whole field, doesn't it?
It really does look as though it's a 3-man dice at the moment, unless somebody can detach themselves from that gap there, the pack there at the back.
I think what's happening in the second pack, they're all fighting with one another so much, they're forgetting about the leaders, and they're wasting too much time.
Well, it's halfway distance through the race, less than halfway stage. Ray Swan still holds off, holds the lead. Graham Cannell from the Isle of Man, the championship leader. Swanee so far without a single point in this competition. Number 1 there, Graham Cannell, the man who leads the championship with 23. And in 3rd place is Neil Mackenzie. I'm sorry, in fact, it's Ken Irons in 3rd place, my apologies. And Ken Irons, of course, hasn't done too well in the point stage so far. Well, this is the 3-man dice, and Graham Cannell again goes for the inside line and forces Ray Swan. You can see the bike.
Oh,
and Ray Swan leans on it.
Nothing like an elbow in your ribs.
Well, Mr. Swan proving the point. He didn't want to be overtaken at that particular point. And there they are, still side by side. And Ken Irons waves at his pit crew. I don't know whether he's enjoying this or deciding he really wants to be out of it. Ken Irons goes through into 2nd place. Maybe that signal to the rest to his pit crew was that he can pass them whenever he wants to. And it really does look as though he's got the legs of them. No, he's not. Ray Swan back in the lead, number 21. It's number 18, Ken Irons in 2nd place. And number 1, Graham Cannell from the Isle of Man in the 3rd spot.
Well, they certainly have pulled out a lead from the 2nd pack, haven't they?
Well, they've absolutely destroyed the opposition, haven't they?
Really have.
And Ken Irons looking for a way past, and so too is Graham Cannell.
Oh, no. That's the old tyres getting hot, you see.
And again, Ken Irons goes through on the inside. Has he got him? Yes, he has. Ken Irons, number 18, grabs the lead from number 21, Ray Swan, and the number 1, Graham Cannell, still there in 3rd spot. And really, it's absolutely anybody's race still. Well, that's assuming they don't knock themselves off on the chicane.
I was going to say it's going to be a do-or-die effort of the chicane on the last lap.
Well, Swanee really is good going into the chicane. Maybe he's too good. And Graham Cannell takes 2nd place, and the man who led for part of that lap is back in 3rd spot. Ray Swan, number 21, in the lead. Number 1, Graham Cannell in 2nd place. Number 18, Ken Irons in 3rd place.
I would say Ken Irons, he seems the most relaxed rider of the whole lot. You know, he doesn't seem to be getting in such a state as the other two.
And there in 3rd place now, it's number 6. That's Neil Robinson, Smutty as he is known by his Irish friends. Behind him, Steve Chambers. Well, Steve's not doing so well in this one, Barry.
No, he's not, but there's no reason for it, because, as I say, all the bikes are the same, but these leading bunch, they've just got such a lead now that it doesn't look like the other guy. Oh, look at this. It doesn't look like the other guy's going to catch him up. And also the suspension's starting to get hot now, which is making it work a lot more freely. That's why you watch the bikes are bouncing up and down, apart from banging into one another.
Well, the picture speaks for itself. 3 young men, 3 very talented young British road racers on identical bikes, and they are really, literally fighting for every inch of this Donington Park circuit. It's Ken Irons in the lead, Ray Swan in 2nd place, and Graham Cannell in 3rd spot as they go underneath the Dunlop Bridge and head for the chicane. It's Irons in the lead. Cannell's got the inside of race 1. But Swanee is a brave man. He'll just lay the bike across Graham Cannell, and he does this time. And Swanee's quicker out of the corner. Ken Irons made a mistake.
I think Ken Irons should have gone into the chicane there and braked a bit earlier, so the other two guys would have thought he wasn't very good at braking. Then coming into the chicane on the last lap, just leave his braking to the proper time, and it would have been a big surprise for him.
Well, Ken, a youngster, obviously not yet developed the race tactics of a man of your experience, Barry, but they've got a lot of skill, haven't they, these boys?
Oh, they sure have, without any doubt. I mean, I'm not all that into riding road bikes around a racing track, but they make a really good job of it, I must admit.
And, of course, they are, all of them, competent on their 250s as well. They all race 250 and 350 machines as well in genuine racing conditions. And the news from the pits is that Kim Barker has pulled out of the race, so Kim Barker out of the race, and so too is Kenny Shepherd, in case any of their fans...
Whoa!
Oh, and race 1 nearly retired before our very eyes. Well, another lucky moment. Oh, good grief!
Retired, you see?
Yes.
The tyres, I keep saying the tyres, but they really pay out. And again, see, hot tyres.
Well, Swanee will have to decide now whether he wants to settle for a safe third or whether...
A safe third or a big heap of rubbish. Right.
So it's a two-man dice going into the chicane again. Cannell on the inside and Kenny Irons swoops round the outside, gets into a big wobble. Discretion for once being the better part of valour, and race 1's coming back at him again. This is the last lap of this 10-lap race. Graham Cannell then out in front, side by side is race 1 and Ken Irons, and really there's no more chances left after this one. Cannell in the lead, Ken Irons in second place, race 1 is third. Behind them a long way back is Steve Chambers. Neil Robinson is 5th, and Matt Oxley, the road tester for Motorcycle Weekly, turned road racer, he's in 6th place. Well, that's not a bad ride for Matt. This, though, is the man who leads this race. He's got just over half a lap to go. Graham Cannell from the Isle of Man, the championship leader with 23 points. And it's race 1, and Ken Irons and race 1 dives through into the 2nd place.
Cannell's got it sewn up with that amount of lead on the last lap. Although you never know, the old kamikaze job at the hairpin, you never know.
Well, we shall see. They've got the back straight to have a go at him, and Ken Irons really's got the bit between his teeth, sliding that RD's chin on the tank. He's chasing Graham Cannell down the back straight. He knows that the only place he can do it is at the chicane. He'll go into it at least 20 miles an hour quicker.
No, it's impossible. With that amount of lead, he'd never do it.
Nothing is impossible in Pro-Am racing.
No, never, no way.
And in fact, you're right, Barry. It's going to be a win for Graham Cannell, and provided he stays on, all three do. Graham Cannell, the race winner. Ken Irons takes 2nd place. Race 1 is in 3rd place. That's Steve Chambers going through in 4th spot. Number 6, Neil Robinson, and the rest of the pack going through. But Graham Cannell, a tremendous victory, a good ride too from Ken Irons. He scored some points for the first time, and an excellent performance from the last year's, the reigning champion, race 1. But Cannell extends his lead out in the championship battle. Well, what a performance.
I can't see anybody beating him, actually. He's riding really well.
Graham Cannell then, and race 1 coming around and waving to the crowd. They really have had a tremendous dice, and the crowd are lapping it. So, Graham Cannell riding the distinctive blue and yellow Wrangler bike. That indicates he's the championship leader. And as I say, Graham Cannell having stretched his advantage. So, Graham Cannell takes a wave to the crowd as he comes round to the podium, and time, I think, to hand back to Fred Dinage in the studio.
Thank you very much indeed. And there's the confirmation of the result of the 3rd round of the Yamaha Pro-Am Series. Victory for Graham Cannell, Ken Irons in 2nd place, and defending champion race 1 in 3rd.